What's up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest channel and podcast. If you are listening to this on the podcast platforms, please do subscribe. And if you are on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that like button. It's like walking into the room and hitting that light switch. We just want to go ahead and brighten up the place. And let's get into this conversation/reality chat. I was debating whether I was going to talk about this or not, but you know what? I said, I got a little bit of time. Let's just go ahead and get into it. All right. If you've seen the most recent episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, and if you have been watching Love and Marriage Huntsville for the past several seasons, you've seen the marriage and the relationship between Marsau and Latisha Scott. And I honestly feel sorry for the girl. I have been humiliated on her behalf, feeling humiliated. Wasn't humiliated, but I've been feeling humiliated on her behalf, just really feeling sorry for her at times. And then other times it's like, well, maybe this is what you're asking for, because all the signs are there. Most of us who are watching the show and are listening get it. And the fact that we see her and him going through therapy and counseling sessions on the show, and it just does not seem to be sinking in to her that this man, I hate to say it like this, and if you say I'm judging, then I guess I'm judging. The Bible even says we have the right to make a righteous judgment. So when people say don't judge me, it just says, with the same judgment that you put out, you will have it met back unto you. And listen, it is what it is. These people chose to put their lives on a public platform like this. I've been married for a little over 24 years, and I would never choose to do that. And it's not because I don't want anyone in my marriage. It's just because I just don't choose to do that. And it really is no one else's business. And they decided to be on a show where it is about, or supposed to be, about love and marriage, right? He just doesn't seem to be that into her. On every occasion that they have been together, for the most part, especially the past seasons. This season, I feel like he was trying to save a little bit of face and trying to silence the critics, or like they like to say, shut up the haters. It's not so much that people are hating, because I don't really know anyone that's hating on their marriage and their relationship and really wanting what they have. We, the viewers, we are just privy to look at what they choose to put out there, and we see it for what it is. And he just doesn't seem to be that into her. I'm not even having enough time to list everything, but tell me what husband you know that has children with their wife would need to go to another continent by himself. Not even lying and saying that he's traveling for work. This is a business trip, okay? And I have to handle some business, and, you need to just be here and handle the kids, but I got everything covered when it comes to the business ground. You keep everything on the home front held down, and let's do this so that we can make millions and grow and build an amazing property. Like, I haven't seen any signs of that home being built on their property yet. Anyway, it's just been a lot. He went to another continent by himself and said that he just needed to get away alone. What? Are you freaking kidding me? And I don't know about you guys, but I felt embarrassed for her. When they had that dinner at the beginning of this current season, and he says to her, I really appreciate that you were understanding that I just needed to go to Africa and just be alone. So we go from that to rewinding when they went to Vegas as a couples trip, but they were supposedly celebrating their wedding anniversary. And he already told her, I do not want to renew our vows. And then she wanted to spring on him a surprise going to the chapel, and we're going to renew these vows, even though you said you're not interested in doing that, and doing it in front of all of the other people that were there with them. And he still shut her down. He didn't even do it just to save face for the sake of, this is my baby. I love my wife. I don't really want to do this like this, but for the sake of my wife, and even just for the sake of the freaking show and creating a moment, creating a scene, I'm going to move forward and do it. He said, no, I don't want to do this. And then rewind it a little bit back, same season, when he's on the bus with the fellas, and he's talking about how, when you're in a marriage and you go through things like depression and you don't really feel good about where you're at, divorce just still isn't an option. You're just going to stick it out. To me, it really just sounds like the man feels stuck, literally for better or for worse. But for him, it's like for worse. But I'm just going to stick it out and do what I'm doing and do my best to cover up anything that I may be doing that is not something my wife really would want for me to be doing, because there have been the alleged rumors about him being unfaithful, although nothing has been explicitly detailed and stamped with a certification of yes, indeed, it is going down. He just does not seem to be that into her. And then to just fast forward it a bit to this most recent episode, where he's claiming he wanted to surprise her. So he does the charcuterie and setting up like a little picnic in the living room. And we all know that she knew it was going down because she was already dressed and prepared for it. The kids were not there. They were being filmed. They were mic'd. So this was a scene. It was for the show. Okay? So he says to her, I want to be a better man for you. He really doesn't. I think he just wants to exist in this a little bit better and try his best to be a little bit happier, even though he isn't really that happy. And then goes on to manipulate her to tell her, as he's saying, I want to be a better man for you. But look, the therapist that you chose for us, it ain't going down. It's not happening because I don't like his opinions about me. I don't like his views about my, about who I am, about my actions, and about the way I speak. And he doesn't agree with me 100%. I cannot manipulate him, but I can manipulate you. So I'm all good if you want to continue to go to therapy. But if you want us to do this together, you need to find another therapist because I'm not going back to him. And that is so sad because the therapist sees right through him. And he tried to say that the therapist is biased against him, but in what way? Because he's a married man. He is a man. He's not a gay man. Like, you know how some men will try to say, well, the therapist is a woman, so she's automatically going to side with you. Or the therapist is a homosexual, so he's more feminine than I am, and that type of stuff. This is a man who is married to a woman who is a therapist, and he has been doing it for a very long time. Not just therapy, but marriage as well. Marsau doesn't like anyone that does not agree with him. And because he has been roiling over his wife for so many years and manipulating her so much, and I believe her self-esteem has been just like beaten down, and she doesn't even really know who she is, although she has stepped up to continue her education and says she didn't want to be a full-time house mother anymore. She wanted to work part-time, and he allowed her because she had to ask for permission. She didn't just put her foot down and say, look, this is the way it's going to be, and that's it. She had to ask him. What? But she did. And I believe for the sake of the money and the sake of the show and the sake of the little bit of fame, that they're getting, he decided to bend a little bit, but he still doesn't really like it. He still doesn't really like it. And if you saw on the previous episode, when Marsau had a meetup with Stormy's husband was speaking to him about possibly getting into investing in commercial real estate. And somehow they got on a discussion of how, working with wives works. And Stormy's husband said, me and my wife, we worked together on things and we made over $20 million. And Marsau, he made it explicitly clear that he has no intentions, neither desires to work with his wife at all. He really doesn't. I believe Tisha gets on his nerves. I believe he feels stuck. I just don't believe he really is that into her. I'm not saying he doesn't love his wife. I'm never here to judge that. But do I believe he likes her? It doesn't look like it. And there are many people who are in marriages with people where they love the person, but they don't really like them that much. Okay? It happens. It does. And I just don't believe that Marsau is that into her. And the fact that she sat there and agreed with him and said, well, I guess if my baby wants to find another therapist and doesn't want us to go back to Dr. Francis, then I have to find another therapist. That, for me, was like, you know what, Tisha, you are doomed. You're doomed to either just continue to settle and not truly thrive and be as happy as you could be. Because here's the thing. I know a lot of people come for Tisha and her speech. She has a speech impediment. She doesn't speak that well. And it's not her fault. I do believe a lot of it has to do with her mother and the way she was brought up. And I do believe she wants to be different than her mom. But I believe in a lot of ways she is like her mom, whether she likes it or not. And I do believe that her mom fights a lot of her battles. But ultimately, overall, Tisha really is a beautiful woman. I would never sit here and say that one person on the show looks better than another. I'm not here to judge, the looks in that way. But I do believe that Tisha is a beautiful woman. I actually believe that she was a lot more naturally beautiful in the first season than now, where she's really doing a whole lot more when it comes to the wigs and the makeup and even the way she dresses, because she was she was a lot more conservative in her dressing and attire in the first season than she is now. But hey, people can do what they want to do. She's an adult. If she wants to try out different looks and do different things and experiment and play around with it, okay, cool, that's fine. She's an adult, and she has children that are getting a little older, and it happens. But I believe that Marsau knows, with the attention that she gets being on this show, that there really are a whole lot of other men out there that would be more than willing to treat Tisha the way that she desires and deserves, to be honest with you, to be treated. So he will throw her a bone here and there to make her feel like she really is in a good space with this man. And I just don't think that she is. I'm not here advocating for them to get divorced, because I don't want to see the breakup of anyone's marriage. I would never advocate for someone to stay in a relationship either if someone is being abused. And I'm not saying that she is, but I am saying that she definitely is being manipulated. And I don't believe she really realizes it. And if she does sense it, she's not she's not enabling herself to speak up. So that's why I believe a lot of the battles that her mom fights for her, and in those ways when it comes to her mom coming at Marsau and questioning him the way that she has over the past several seasons, Tisha does allow it, because she indeed has those same questions, but it's better for her mom to speak on her behalf than it is for her to do it, because Marsau will immediately cut her down and shut her off. So she doesn't really have a voice that much in the marriage when it comes to that. And it's just a really sad sight to see. But to see Marsau manipulate her in that way when it came to the therapy and choosing a different therapist, like, I'm willing to do it with you, but he might as well just said, as long as you find somebody that's going to agree with me, I'm down. But for her to just bend to that suggestion and request, not even a suggestion, but that pretty much demand, and to say, well, I guess I have to find another therapist, he was like, jackpot. I got her. And it's a sad sight to see. I don't know what the future holds for these people, and I'm never going to sit here to try and predict or even wish for anything negative to happen. But I really do want to see better for her. I don't like how she has, been in different situations when it comes to Melody's marriage, because she's not in a perfect relationship. And I do feel that when Melody was going through things in her relationship, she was, in a sense, in a place of feeling arrogant and better than, because she was like, well, I never had to deal with infidelity in my marriage. And she probably has, and just doesn't really want to admit it, and wants to feel superior to Melody because she does the thing when it comes to, wives and husbands. And Marsau and Tisha are not the ideal marriage. They really don't need to be out here giving anyone marriage tips. Ever. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Okay? And so I saw that. It turned my stomach. I just was rolling my eyes and shaking my head like, girl, you just do not get it. You either don't get it or you get it, but you're settling and you're just going to deal with it. And I think that's even sadder. So you guys let me know your thoughts about this in the comments section. And guys, I really appreciate you liking and subscribing. And until the next time, this is Beth, and I'm just being beautifully honest.